stories that define hip-hop culture. You're now locked in to the Terminator Xperience podcast, where hip-hop history meets the culture right now. Hosted by DJ DVS and Minor, alongside the legendary Terminator X. We're talking classic moments, untold stories, and the voices that shape the game. Straight from the source. No filters, no filler, just real conversations and real hip-hop. Turn it up. This is the Terminator Xperience podcast.
Yes, y'all. Once again, welcome to the Terminator Xperience podcast. I'm your host, DVS. We got the legendary DJ Terminator X, and tonight we got a very special guest. That's right, working on a documentary. He's going to tell you about all that. We got the one and only Rick Kelly in the building. Give it up one time. What's good, my friend? What's popping?
Hey, man, I'm just trying to make it.
Okay. All right. Well, man, thank you for hanging out with us, man. You know what I'm saying? Terminator Xperience podcast. We're gonna set it off. With the host, the show, give us a Terminator, a Public Enemy or Terminator X story. Give us, you know what I'm saying?
Well, first of all, I want to thank my man for having me. Right. I'm a big fan. This was like the soundtrack of my life when I was 18, 19 years old. Actually, I met you two guys around that time. His music, and I met you in Raleigh when I moved to Raleigh. So, your music was just so inspirational to me, and what you did for us as a people inspired us. And I just want to know what happened, that transitional phase of how we go from you to where we at now. But that's not no.
All right.
So where you from originally?
I'm from Sanford, North Carolina.
Okay.
Small town. It couldn't hold me. I came up with Drez and Long from Black Sheep.
Yep.
Lil Will, shout out to Will and Drez. And I met Dre and them in high school. Well, I knew Will because he was from the other projects. I was from the old projects. He's from the new projects. And people don't know, but Mr. Long was a prodigy. He was DJing at like 8, 9 years old.
Shorty Doo-Wop.
Yep, Shorty Doo-Wop. Standing on milk crates.
Yep.
Yo, man, he was incredible. Him and his brother, shout out to Ishmael. They were both two incredible young DJs. So I came up in a time when hip-hop was just burgeoning, Run DMC and all that. But like I said, by the time I got to college, it came to St. Aug. Shout out to St. Aug. That's when Terminator X and Public Enemy influenced me,
Gotcha.
Yeah, I used to rock at the St. Aug gym.
Greg Dent, shout out to Greg Dent.
Shout out Greg Dent.
Mike Robinson.
Yep.
The WBLS crew at that time.
Yeah, the hot gym. Boy, it was hot.
Yes, sir.
And I'm proud of you, D, because, a lot of DJs in big markets don't come from that market.
Right.
You know Raleigh like the back of your hand.
Oh, yeah.
You came here. You're a legend. We worked together. Well, he used to work at Mr. Freeze Records. Shout out to Mr. Freeze. And I came in after him.
Right.
So that's how we met. But
Raleigh Boulevard.
Full circles.
Yes, sir. That was that was back in the days.
Back in the day.
All right, man. So we're gonna jump into your project. You know what I'm saying? I know you got a lot to tell about that. I'm gonna let you just get into it. Tell the name of the project, how you got into it, and what made you want to. Is it first of all? Is this your first film? How did you get into film?
This is my second film.
Okay, well, tell us about the first.
My first film was called Black Beach, White Beach. It's on
that's right.
Amazon Prime. It's on Tubi TV. Just Google Black Beach, White Beach, and you can watch it almost anywhere. But that was about Myrtle Beach. I'm a motorcycle rider, and I used to go to the Black Bike Week. Mm-hmm. They have a White Bike Week. So I showed the difference between the two experiences, how they treat them and how they treat us. And we had a lot of success with that film. That was my first film, and I'm just glad I did it and had an opportunity to do a second film, which is Humble in the Jungle.
Okay.
Shout out to my man Mike G. I'm also a plumber. I'm not just a filmmaker, I'm a plumber. And I tell everyone, you just follow your dreams. You can do anything you want to do and be whoever you want to be, but you still need to have something to fall back on. So this film was designed to show that, for those that don't know Mike G is of the Jungle Brothers, right? He is one of the founding members of the Jungle Brothers. And Mike's a plumber as well. and we worked together. And at first I didn't really remember him or know who he was until he said something. I was like, wait, that's Mike, Mike G. I can't believe he's out here working as a plumber, And I just thought his life was incredible, that he would fly around the world and then he would come back and be crawling in the house at 7 o'clock in the morning after just getting off a plane from Europe the night before. And I just thought he had an incredible story. He's a great, humble guy. Yes. And I said, look, can I tell your story? And he entrusted me with it, and we have a great film. We've shown it a few times, and to standing ovations, it blows my mind how the film was received. But again, Mike's a humble guy, and he has a great story to tell. So that's how that came about.
So let's rewind it a little bit. So what made you want to get into filmmaking before you even did the Black Week, White Week? Because I had a T-shirt. You gave me a T-shirt, and I remember you gave me the shirt, but I just didn't put two and two together. And then I saw it, and I was like, oh shit, like yo, that's Rick. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, I had the T-shirt, and I'm like, wow. But it's a dope documentary, man. But what made you want to get into filmmaking?
Well, I went to St. Aug. I was a communications major, and I read a lot, and it was one film that made me decide that made me feel that I could do it. It was called 12 O'Clock Boys.
Right.
It was about these kids on motorcycle in DC, taking over the streets on those dirt bikes, right? And the way it was shot, it inspired me because I was like, I can do that. All you do is, follow a character, tell a story, write it out, and I knew that no one had ever done the story about Myrtle Beach. And because I experienced it and I wanted to know the history of the place, actually, I was potentially made or conceived in Atlantic Beach,
right.
The Black Pearl. My parents met in Atlantic Beach, and here I am. So right. I had this strong affinity for that area. So I wanted to just tell that story, and it just took off. It resonated with the people, and it was just a blessing.
Was it hard to get it out there? I mean, as far as the like distribution and all that, and just the leg work. Besides actually making the film, how was it? Getting the word out there, and then
Well, the money situation is always an issue with independent filmmakers.
Right.
I spent probably $90,000 on my first film. That's out of my pocket, and I'm doing it. You're spending money. If you want to follow your dreams, you have to, finance your dreams sometimes. Right, invest in yourself. Some people think that the government's going to give you money or grants or all these other film companies are going to help you out. You got to put in the legwork, and it'll come your way. But I don't regret anything I've done, and as far as filmmaking, as far as the money that I've spent to do it, because I didn't get into it for the money. It was the love of wanting to tell my people a story, and show us in a positive light, because we don't see ourselves in a positive light a lot of times. And that the narrative was in Myrtle Beach was that we come down there and we tear up the city and we do all that, whereas it was them that was wilding out, right. You know what I'm saying? And we was just getting the brunt of it. But I just like to tell stories about our people, and try to encourage young people that you can do it too, because everybody's not going to be a famous rapper like Mike or go to the NBA or go to the NFL. So have something to fall back on. You can still follow your dreams and say, hey, I want to do this, but just get a trade. That's because right. If you're not working with your hands in the next 10 years, you're not going to have a job, because AI is taking over everything.
That's right.
So I encourage young people, be an electrician, a plumber, HVAC. We killing the game. It's a lot of, successful people. I mean, they're paying, man, right now you just wouldn't believe some of what plumbers are getting, because there aren't a lot of plumbers in the game. So I encourage young people all the time, get a trade. Don't waste your money on college. Not necessarily college is not a waste, but computers are taking over. So if you're not working with your hands, but a computer can't do plumbing, a computer can't wire a house, a computer can't, fix your air conditioner. So get into that.
So I'll add on to that. I'm sharing a little information, personal information. So I retired from the United States Postal Service. Most people don't know that. Yeah, I was in the post office for I don't know, about 26 years or so. Even while I was doing my music, I would take a leave of absence to go on tour or whatever. So that's a true story. You know, some folks in the music business is lucky enough to strictly survive off of that. Some folks are not. So, or to build your own, or to build your business. Look, I hear young kids, I want to be an entrepreneur. Yeah, well, you need some money while you're working your way to be an entrepreneur. You need to pay some rent. You understand what I'm saying? So you can do both. You gotta be determined. You just gotta do it. You gotta set some stuff aside. Some of your dreams aside and do your work, and concentrate on your main goal in life.
You know, the good thing about getting a trade is, like, you can get paid as you learn this trade. You know, you can't get paid going to college, okay, unless you're an athlete. Right. But, you know, if you work for a company, right, so they're teaching you how to do this trade. Now, your neighbors are seeing the truck that you drive, and they say, oh, man, my air conditioner's going out or my plumbing's going out. They're going to call you. So you're going to get that extra money on top of what they paying you. You're getting that, we call it side money, that side work, you know, doing other things until you come into yourself and able to start your own business. You know, it's a key. It's like a ticket to the middle class, if you ask me. You know, because these streets ain't offering nothing, bro. You know what I'm saying? I done been there, so you know I know.
Yeah,
no doubt.
Good advice.
Yeah, man. So let's get back into the film. Let's let everybody see the merch we got right here with the shirts. You know what I'm saying? Humble in the jungle. So who else is involved in the film? And you know, just tell us a little bit more about the whole project and you know, Mike G, and you know, just.
I got my cameraman, Mike Galinsky.
Okay.
He is an incredible cameraman, okay, or a cinematographer. And his wife, she's helping with the editing, and I got a super editor in Landon Boost. My wife, of course, is co-producing it with me.
Okay.
Red Alert is my executive producer. Shout out to Red Alert, who DJ Red Alert, who was Mike's real uncle.
Yep.
Of course, Mike G. Man, countless. I've interviewed you, of course. I interviewed Minor. I've interviewed several people that, you know, we trying to fit into this last final cut. But it's been a lot of people. I tell people all the time, when you see a movie and at the end you see all these names like running on the screen, it takes a lot of people to put a film together. Right. You know, it's not just me. My team is tight. You know, they've been with me. They believe in me. And that's the most important part, because when you ain't got a lot of money, you need people that's going to believe in you.
So is there, like, I mean, you know, you got the ball rolling with the project. Is there, like, you know, any other, like, projects you got in mind that you want to, you know, saying besides?
Oh man, I got some incredible. I think the one that's really gonna take me over the top is, and I don't know if you of course you know Coach George Williams.
Yes.
Coach George Williams is a legend, right? He has won 39 out of 40 Division II national championships. He's coached 3 Olympic teams, gold medals. Okay, he's the head coach. The Atlanta team, he was the head coach. He's graduated students at 95%. He's just a true legend that nobody knows. And he goes to Little St. Aug. You know, we ran on dirt, or they ran on dirt back in the day. We didn't even have a real track. So once they got on the real track, it was on and popping. Well, I had linked up with another classmate of mine, you probably know Coach K, from QC, Quality Control Records.
Right.
Coach K had actually ran for Coach Williams. And so he thought it was a great project, and we started out, everything was good, you know, and then we went through COVID and it slowed down the projects, and I don't really know where we at, but I still got it in my pocket as far as it's written out and laid out. But I think that's an inspiring story that I want to do. And Chitlins, my wife and I had written a project called Chitlins, and I thought it would be better received, you know, by my wife as far as the content. And it's called From Chitlins, From Slave Food to Soul Food. And we're giving a history of chitlins because, for those that don't know, chitlins are the intestines of a pig. And back in slavery days, our ancestors were just given the bad parts of the pig, and we turned that into a delicacy, right? So it just shows our resilience as a people, and I think that story is real powerful, and that's coming out. That's called Chitlins, from slave food to soul food, and we're working. We pretty much finished. We're just trying to get someone now to edit it down. So if anybody out there that's got some true editing skills and want to get down with a strong team, let's do it.
You eat chitlins?
Yes, but not every day. Okay, hold on. I'm putting this out, So, yeah, I eat chitlins during the holidays primarily, like during Christmas and New Year's type thing, Thanksgiving, maybe twice a year. And it's, like I said, it's a rare thing, but I'm just trying to honor my ancestors.
Hey, you gotta,
right.
You gotta know what you, if you're making a project about it, you gotta know what you,
Most of our generation knows, but for the younger folks, that's a slavery thing. So the slave owners would give the slaves the stuff they don't want: the pig feet,
the ears, the
pig ears,
the
brains, all that stuff. And black folks was resilient. They made dishes, invented dishes, all these dishes, turkey necks, all of this stuff.
And doing my research, I found out that lobsters was given to prisoners. It wasn't like a delicacy it is today. It was a throwaway food. That's lobster, crazy. Right? One of the guys I interviewed for the film had told me that. But there's a chitlin festival in Sally, South Carolina, and we went down and shot that, and we interviewed the mayor of the city, and they just have the whole city lobster. You can smell chitlins 10 miles before you get to the city. It's a true festival. So we did that, and we interviewed a few talking heads, people that really know about the history of soul food. And we went to Sylvia's in Harlem, and chitlins was the most expensive thing on the menu, and that's how far we've come,
Wow.
Yeah.
We went to Sylvia's one time, right? We was closed.
Another story is they would laugh at us eating watermelon, but they didn't know that watermelon was flushing our system. You don't understand what I'm saying?
Hydrating us. Yeah,
That's right. True story.
But I love stories like that. I came up. Well, it was not my concept, but there was this show called. Mine is called The Black. I didn't know I was going to be talking about that. But what I wanted to do was tell black stories, right? Like 2 minutes. What is that show? Well, they do 2 segments, and it's like 15-minute shows, and they tell you the stuff that I want to show our culture, like rims on cars, just things that we do exclusively for us, and do like 2 15-minute segments, and just showing who we are as a people, not giving away our culture to people, but I mean, not stuff that the typical stuff that they don't know about, why we into the things that we are into, but
and we from scientific inventions to practical inventions, black folks have invented it all. I mean, you name it. And then now, like you say about like wheels on a car, like we do the big wheels or the whatever the kind of wheels are. Now look at the new cars. They're designed with fancy wheels off the showroom floor. Who started that? That's a fact.
Our culture.
That's a fact. Yes, sir.
Yeah, we lead it. We've always led the culture. And but hip hop, that's my thing. Like I said, I love hip hop music. I came up in that generation where Run DMC, and it was just different than it is now. These kids can't imagine how hip hop was, but how you could really party and not worry about getting shot. No negativity here, but it was a different time. We could go to Kamikazes and hang out. Shout out to Steve Woolley. It was a safe place for us to party at back in the day. I took Tupac to Kamikazes, actually. Tupac had came to St. Aug to do a concert, right? This story about my meeting Pac, right? I met him, and it was like the greatest guy in the world, and then by the end of the night, it was like a different type vibe. But what had happened was he came to St. Aug, and we were in a spring break. I mean, a winter break, and he performed. It was like 40 people on campus in the gym, right? So he performed for 40 people like it was 40,000. You know, Pac was a very passionate guy. So after he came off stage, he was like, where the party at? You know, so I was saying, you know, Kamikazes was my spot. So me and my man Gopher, we said, follow us. They jumped in the limo and followed us to Kamikazes. So we get to Kamikazes. Kamikazes had a policy you couldn't wear hats back in the day, right? So Pac and it was him and 3 other his guys had hats. So I went inside, I told Steve, the owner, I said, Steve, I got Tupac outside. This was his first album, Tupacalypse Now. This is nobody, you know, he was just coming about. Right. So Steve said, who is Tupac? And I said, Tupac, you know, Tupac. And he was like, I said, well, he's outside. And he was like, well, you know, they can't wear hats in here. And I was like, yeah, okay, let me go out there and holler at him. So I went back out to the limo and I said, yo, we can't wear hats. Well, you know, we got a policy because they can't see over the bill of your hat upstairs because there's 2 floors in the club. Yeah. So Pac said, he didn't really say much, right? He said, well, I'm wearing my hat, right? We wearing our hats. I said, damn, let me go back inside and talk to Steve one more time. I said, Steve, come on, man, he's hot right now. You know, let him in. You know, this is a good look. And he said, okay, Tupac can wear his hat, but nobody else, right? So I went back outside. I said, yo, Pac, you can wear your hat, but your crew can't, man. I tried to explain the policy again. Man, his security, head of security's big brother was standing outside the limo, right? He's looking at the girl. You know how the line was. We parked right in front of the club in the limo, parked sideways, and the line for the club is forming, and there's some fat, thick ones in line, right? And his head of security is looking at the girls, and he like, man, we ain't got to wear our hat, Pac. And tap this man like, take your hat out, right? Yo, that blinked. He lost it. He got out the car. You know, Pac was a little dude, right? So he gets out the car and he screamed. This dude had to be like 6'5", and he's screaming up in this guy's face, I'll make your ass walk back to California. I run this shit. And I said, you know, and I was like, damn, he ain't have to, in front of the brides, he ain't have to do all that. And it couldn't have been me. That's all I was saying. I'd have been walking back to California but that was my Tupac story. You know, shout out to Tupac. I love his music. But that was like a incredible night to feel like this is the greatest, one of the greatest, and then to see that other side. Not to say, you know, because like I said, I love Tupac, but we all know how Tupac was in retrospect. So that's my story of meeting Tupac. I met Biggie too. It was real brief.
Did they go in the club?
No, hell no. Wow, after he did all that screaming, it was a wrap. You know, it kind of broke the mood. He was like, I felt bad for the big dude. I was like, man, like, he didn't have to do all, you know, but hey.
Yeah. Kamikazes, I discovered it when I don't know if it was when I first moved down here or what, but it's one of the last real clubs that was built to be a club. It looked like a mini Soul Train set almost, you know what I mean? I met Steve. And I was supposed to DJ there, but it ended up getting shut down before I got there. I think the city shut them down, if I remember correctly, over some kind of code thing or parking.
Yeah, they was hating.
Yeah. And I never got to play there, but I love that place because there's nothing like a club that's built to be a club. The entire building, and that was one of those spots.
Shout out to Steve.
Yes, sir.
I had a story with Steve when he had the limo service. I don't know why, out of the blue, Run DMC was coming to the Ritz, and Steve calls and like, you want to ride me to go pick up Run DMC? I'm like, shit, yeah, you know what I'm saying? So I'm in the limo, he pick him up, and it's just us, me, Jay, Run, and D in the limo, and me. So Run and D, they back there talking, you know what I'm saying? Talking, you know, family and stuff like that, and in the middle of the conversation, you know what I'm saying, Run just stopped everybody, and he was like, hey. And he looked at me, he was like, why you don't think nobody coming to our show tonight? I'm like, bro, like, I don't know. I'm just riding with the limo driver. Like, I mean, you know, I'm thinking it's going to be packed. You know, it was a decent crowd, but this was...
What'd you say?
I didn't know what to say, man. I was just
why
like,
hey,
man.
We don't know.
I don't know, man, but...
I found out that I went to Run DMC's first North Carolina tour concert when they first out of state. They rode a tour bus. I mean, not a tour bus, a RV, right? Russell looked like a I don't want to say crackhead, but wino. Russell used to look rough back in the day, right?
Yeah, the fisherman hat on. Yeah.
My brother-in-law, shout out Willie Scott, thank you, brother. He said, if you do good on your grades, I'll take you to the concert, which was in Southern Pines, North Carolina, right? This little club called the Podges, I think that was the name of it, right? So he put me on the back of his motorcycle, and we rode to the concert because I got decent grades and saw Run DMC. Like I said, Russell looked rough. They pulled up in an RV. And Jay killed the turntables. You know, I don't think the system was prepared for what he was doing with that record, manipulating that needle like that. But crazy. But I found out that was their first concert out of North Carolina, out of New York. Right? Yeah, they were giving an interview, and I was like, I was at that show. I was in North Carolina. I was at the Podges. It's crazy. But I've been blessed to meet a lot of people in my life. I don't want stardom. I'm good. I couldn't deal with going to eat places and people always recognizing you and you got to give them all that love. So I'm good where I'm at. But I met a lot of people I've been blessed to meet a lot of people. And this truly is a blessing. Like I said, meeting this brother here, that's a fact. Cause
appreciate it, brother.
Y'all did it, man like no other. So back to the question. What do you think was the catalyst for the change in hip hop? Was it Ice Cube? Was it the West Coast thing? Because because that transition, 92 to 93, was it Onyx? I mean, we always had, PSK was a for those that knew what they were talking about on that record, that was Gang Talk, and that was before all of that. PSK making that green.
Schoolie D.
Yeah, Schoolie D. But what was it? The powers that be that made a collective effort to turn hip hop into what it is today and exploit hip hop and put you guys to the back like they do shadow banning today. Like if they don't like your content, they won't let people see it. You know what I'm saying? The powers that be. Is that what they did to Public Enemy and those?
That's a great question. So I would start by saying hip hop, like anything else, is constantly changing. Even in its time, this group comes along, that group come along, and back in those days, in my opinion, I'm older now. You can call me the old man, but I feel like the groups were more stronger and they respected hip hop. I think in our generation, and I talked about this earlier on the Chris Thomas morning show out of Las Vegas.
Nice plug.
KHP.
Nice plug. Anyway,
so I feel like the older generations of hip hop studied hip hop. They studied the founding fathers. They studied the older groups, that kind of thing. The newer generation, they kind of just doing it. You know what I mean? They kind of just trying to make some money. Now that doesn't apply to all. There's some real folks that's out there, but a lot of them is just kind of going through the motions. But like I said, hip hop has been constantly evolving from the origins, from the DJs, Flash, Herc, and everyone else. I don't want to leave on anybody. All the founding fathers. Then they had the guys that kind of hosted the events. And then you had your first people who actually started rhyming or rapping, whatever you want to call it. I can't forget the brother's name. Then people finally started coming out with records. Your Cold Crush, R.I.P. The brother just passed. Cold Crush. You had your Force MCs back then. You had your Fantastic Five, Funky 4+1, that kind of stuff, and they started doing records. And they would play the stage. Wasn't sampling back. They was playing, and that was like kind of the first generation Sugar Hill Gang. That was the first generation hip hop. Then you went into your later '80s. Curtis Blow, he's part of that generation. Right. Curtis Blow was kind of the introduction to the newer generation,
right,
in my opinion. But he's still one of the first. Then you had your Marley Marl and
Run DMC,
Run DMC, LL Cool J,
Queens,
all of that stuff. Queens, Bronx, with Boogie Down Productions. That scene started coming along. Kumo D, Kumo D lasted shout out to Kumo D. Kumo D is a founding father.
Definitely.
For those that don't know
Definitely.
it. And he's transcended into the later 80s as well, even into the 90s. You know, he had the Wild Wild West. Kumo D was around from day one.
Definitely.
You know, he has one of the first infamous rhyme battle, Kumo D versus Busy B.
Right.
Everybody, that was the first official, well-known rhyme battle.
Yep,
You understand what I'm saying? And then, but it's constantly changing. Then after that, you had your Eric B. Rakims, your Public Enemies, your Big Daddy Kane, your Biz Markie.
Right.
It's always evolving. Even when you know, and we interviewed Tretch on this show, and I told him we were on tour, and Naughty was one of the opening acts, and they would come out and destroy it. And I told him, I said, man, I went back to the dressing room. I was like, yo, fellas, we need to step it up.
Right.
We need to step it up. We need to adjust and yeah. And they're like, oh, we Public Enemy. I'm like, yeah, okay. You can say that all you want. Times are changing. You need to adapt. And that's one of the reasons I kind of left. But anyway, among other things. But yeah, it just always changed. And then you had your NWA. I remember when they used to come to our tour bus. They were friends of ours. And they came on strong. They went from wanting to be artists to big time artists, like almost overnight. They used to NWA. I don't have to tell you, used to wreck shows, and like CB4, that movie,
right.
How they showed those scenes, I was like, that's exactly how it was. That's exactly how it was. They used to wreck shows. It's constantly changed. So then, after NWA, you know, you mentioned Schoolie D. So the point is, it's constantly changing. There's a lot of conspiracy theories out there. Whether they're true or not, I don't know. I wasn't in these rooms. I always heard about this story about dudes in this room and all these people sat around and they decided they're gonna bring in gangster rap and get rid of the poor righteous teachers, the Public Enemies, the KRS-Ones, and all that kind of stuff. X-Clan. You know, whether it happened or not, I don't know. Is it possible? Absolutely, all day long, because that's the world we live in. But I can't definitely say that happened. But and part of it is us as consumers. You got to understand, they can't do that without us buying this stuff.
Exactly.
Right.
So don't put all the blame on the record industry. If we're not here buying this stuff, you know what I'm saying? You know, being the person I am, I'm like, you know, look at yourself in the mirror.
Right.
Especially those who are grown and have children. You know, it's cool. You know, everybody like movies and anything else. Sex and violence and drugs and this stuff is people like to watch it. I mean, that's just how it is. However, you need to have a variety of stuff. You don't need to be just like, I feel like hip hop is mostly in the negative stuff now.
Right.
You got your few positive folks, and even the folks that are not particularly positive, like Little Baby, he got some great positive songs, but most of his stuff is maybe not so positive.
Right.
I mean, that's just being honest. You got your I don't have to name. There's other artists that, you know, at 1 minute they're talking about something positive, next minute they talking about bitch don't kill my vibe. You know what I mean? You know, shout out to Kendrick. Though, you know, that's another brother I respect tremendously. But they kind of bounce around. But the whole industry needs to bounce around. Like hip hop, to me, in my opinion, it's all about sex. 90% is sex and drugs and money, my car, my house, my girl. We gotta stop doing that.
Gotcha.
We gotta stop doing it. But that's, like I said, don't blame the industry if you're not making it. And now, especially now, like people used to always blame the record. They blame the record company. Oh, they're not signing artists unless they sound like this person. They're not signing the artists like. Well, guess what? We kind of for the first time ever, because of technology and the internet and social media, we're kind of writing our own story. We have more power now than ever because we can go put our music online. We can sell our music online. So I don't want to hear no excuses about, oh, they ain't gonna sign me. No, if you're an artist and you have a message to tell your message. It don't have to be you don't have to be the Martin Luther King or the you don't have to be Public Enemy, but talk about something else. Like there's so many subjects. I mean, come on, all you know about is sex and ladies and your ride. Come on. There's so much to talk about. And as long as it's dope, people are going to buy it and they're going to groove to it. All you got to do is relate to folks. You got to relate to folks. If they can relate to it and it sounds crazy, they're going to buy it. So, in my opinion, in these days, we're responsible for the state of rap music. I mean, some of the stuff, you got your big monster companies, you got your Live Nations, you got all this stuff. But we have more control than ever. So let's look in the mirror and change and put different music out, and we're gonna get different music.
No doubt. Yeah, I mean, even the fact that the movie, Humble in the Jungle, the fact that you're, a message, you can do this and you can also do that. You know what I'm saying? And I always had a lot of respect for Mike for just being able to go out and perform, and then, like you said, 7 o'clock in the morning, you know what I'm saying, that message, you know what I'm saying, just that, just watching him alone and that's hard, bro.
Mike's the hardest working guy I ever met in my life, and that's real talk. I'm not saying that just to be saying it. Mike doesn't really take vacations. His wife Suki, shout out to Susie. I'm sure she got to drag him to work. Mike works all the time, and he tours every chance he get. Right. He's like a robot. I'm like, when you go, and he comes home and you'll see in the movie, he cooks dinner. Mike is like an Energizer Bunny kind of thing, but not with a battery in his back. He's just calm and cool, but he just goes all the time. And I be like, man, when you gonna take a break? When you gonna shut it down and slow down? He worked way harder than me. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So that's why I really wanted to tell this story, like to show, like, man, the resilience of this guy. Mm-hmm. And nothing can break his spirit. Nothing can make him. I've been knowing Mike now for 20 years or so. I've never seen him have a bad day. I watched him go through COVID. People don't know, but Mike caught COVID during and almost left here. He was in the hospital for 4 or 5 days. Yeah, and they was going to put you on a respirator. And, back in them days, when you went to the hospital, but that you might not come home.
That's right.
So, it was tough, but I've learned that making a film about a friend is harder than just making a film about somebody you don't know. Because when it gets personal, you know what I'm saying? It's like you can't blink on him or just walk away from it like it's somebody that you don't know, and you can't. It's just different. So that was a learning experience for me, because I'm still learning about this filmmaking thing. And like I said, I tell people all the time, anybody can make a movie. All you got to do or make a documentary is lay it out, figure out what you want to talk about and how you want your story to be told. And then surround yourself with people that are talented. You don't have to be a cameraman. You don't have to be an editor. You don't have to be anything but the director. It's your vision. It's your idea. So when you formulate that idea, you surround yourself with good people that know how to work a camera, that know how to edit, and you form a team. It's about leadership, and you tell your story, because everybody's got a story to tell.
No doubt.
At the end of the day.
So you got a trailer for it, right?
Yeah.
So can we show the trailer, and can we?
Yeah, for sure. I got trailers for.
Okay. Here's the trailer.
The trailer.
And
Humble in the Jungle. Here it is, right here. Humble in the Jungle. Check it out.
What's my connection to the Jungle Brothers? Period. Music. Mike G, I'd have to say his work ethic. I toured overseas with the Jungle Brothers, and he went to sound check for the group, and he was the only person there, but he made sure that everybody's thing sounded on point. So he's a selfless person.
Snap my fingers, make your mind. If not, I'll snap up and make up 4 just like 3. Make 4 just like 3. Baby, I know I drive you crazy.
Coming up, the Jungle Brothers was like gods.
My niggas roll that ladder. Y'all done got me riled up. 10, 20, 50, 100 racks.
it was a different vibe. I mean, it wasn't as many rappers, so it was definitely more of a tight-knit community. And it was just love. Like, when you listen to the music, it was just a lot of love.
The brothers, a lap. Zembrowski must wear a cap just in case.
You say brothers, jungle, jungle. When I say jungle, you say brothers, jungle, jungle. When I say jungle, you say brothers, jungle, jungle.
The guy said they pulled out 150 snake skins, right? And he said, with snakes all up in the insulation, you know. If he'd have told me that day before, I would have left. My name is Ricky Kelly, and I'm a plumber. A few years ago, I met another plumber named Mike at a company that we both work for. I always like working with Mike because he's a hard worker. He's just great to be around, very solid. How long does it take to plumb out a house from top to bottom?
Depends, man. Depends on the condition and how much stuff they want in it. Like, I only work with me and Corey. Me and Corey, we've done up to 3 bathroom houses, so we've done them in like a week's time or less.
What's the toughest part?
Crawl space.
After a few months of working together, one day he said something in a voice, and I realized, I said, wait, are you Mike G from the Jungle Brothers? And he was like, shh, let's keep that on the low.
I got into plumbing and I caught on fast, and then all the old folks, they're like, oh, plumbers make plenty of money. Like, they don't talk about the work they're going to, but
he's a humble guy that works hard to try to provide for his family. You know, I ran into a girl one time that I used to date in college, and I remember I was dirty and just disgusted, and I felt ashamed. I felt like this, like, that she's seeing me like this. Have you ever felt that way as an artist, as somebody that's popular?
oh yeah, well, without question. There's times, man, I remember time I was down on my luck real bad, and it's funny, I got a job in a CD store. so some people were catching like, yo, what you looking for? Like, nah, I work here, how can I help you? And it was like, yo, what? So, but man, at the end of the day, you gotta do what you gotta do. I don't make no excuses, no nothing, you know what I'm saying? Nothing hurt more when your kids ask you for something you can't give it to them. Word up. So I don't even trip.
This film is about what it's like to balance being an artist and a hard-working tradesman.
I just know, like, coming up, the Jungle Brothers was like gods to me.
You can have it all today, it can be taken away from you tomorrow. But as you got it right now, you learn to cherish it, embrace it, and build on it. And that's what we do, and that's what I respect Mike for.
You know what I mean?
Everything that's not done, whether it's screws, caulking, anything. Hit me some silicone and a couple of anchors. But I need to know what's not done so we can get it done. So they stop crying.
Hey, yo, give it up for my man Sweet Daddy, say baby. Give it up for my brother, Africa, baby, man. Don't worry about me, London. Give it up. Hip, 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 hip. We are the jungle, the jungle. We are the jungle, the jungle. We are the jungle, the jungle. And this is London, London. hip hop, hip hop, hip, 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 hip.
There it is. That was the trailer for Humble in the Jungle, produced, directed by my man Rick Kelly right here. Let everybody know how they can reach you on social media and all that good stuff, and how to, go back and watch the trailer, just to, keep them up to date on what's going on.
Okay, you can go to humbleinthejungle.net, and that'll show like a 14-minute long trailer, which you're going to see now, to what we just saw going to be a short trailer. But you can make a donation to our project because it's not quite finished. We still got to pay for the music rights and color coordination and just a few things that we have to take care of. So if you'd like to make a donation, you can donate through Southern Documentary Film Fund, Humble in the Jungle, and that's a tax deductible donation. Anything over $250, you can write it off. If you'd like to make a direct donation, that's Humble. Hold on a second. That'll be Humble Cash App, Humble Doc, Humble DOC. And that's Cash App. If you want to make a donation, if you want to buy a T-shirt or a hat or anything like that, just reach out to us online, and my wife will ship it to you. We get it to you, and we need all the support we can get. Thank you, and tell your kids, for people from our generations or your grandkids or whatever, look in the trades. Before they start thinking about throwing away a lot of money going to college and running up a debt, they can go and learn something that's going to carry them a lot further in life, and that's my message.
And again, that's the documentary about the brother Mike G. Jungle of the Jungle Brothers. I guess one of the biggest records is "Girl, I House You," and hip hop. I can't name all the hip hop songs.
And our first guest on the Terminator Xperience podcast.
Our first guest on the Terminator Xperience.
Yes, he was. Salute.
Hey, man, Mike G.
No
great
doubt,
guy.
man.
Great guy.
All right, we appreciate you, man. Once again, thank y'all for checking out the Terminator Xperience podcast. It's my man Rick Kelly once again, Terminator X. Make sure you subscribe, check out the episode, and we will see you next week for another episode of the Terminator Xperience podcast. I'm sorry. We out. Terminator Exit. Peace.
That's going to do it for this episode of the Terminator Xperience podcast, hosted by DJ DVS, Minor, and the legendary Terminator X. Make sure you subscribe, rate, and leave a review, and tap in with us on social media for clips, updates, and behind the scenes. Until next time, keep the culture first, keep the sound heavy, and keep it locked right here.